special guest tonight is my good friend and all of Nashville's good friend, Chuck Ross. Chuck, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Hope.
And we have Mr. Jimmy Davy. Mr. Davy has been on this program many times before, and he comes back tonight, Chuck, with the book that he has written about you called
Beat 'em and Beat 'em Bad.
Now, where did that title come from?
Well, I'll let Chuck tell you if he wants to, or
Chuck?
I'll help him out with it.
Chuck, where did this title come from?
From Coach Don Meyer. I told him one time in the locker room team, I said, beat 'em and beat 'em bad.
Now, that's when were you giving a pregame speech to him?
Speech to him.
Probably late 70s, early 80s, we made the big move, and that big move was to have Chuck give a pregame talk. And we started out with Alan Banks doing the speeches, and that was, I'll tell you, that was not very good speeches because Alan Banks is not real intelligent. Roast, are you ready?
Yeah!
Are you fired up? You better be fired up. Now you better sprint down here. These guys are waiting for you. Now let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go, Chuck. Fire it up. Let's go. Get going in there. Go run over Eric. Look out, Eric. Yeah. Let's go. Did you shave? Oh, you didn't. You haven't shaved in a month. You got to jump for it, buddy. Let's go get it. Let's get it. One, two. Oh, okay, let's read it out, Chuck.
All right. May the 29th, 1999. 1999,
Chuck.
Bisons versus Screaming Eagles. Hello, Bisons. Uncle Don will be gone, and McQuitty is going down, but I'm just wondering who will haul me around.
First of all, it told us a lot about Coach Meyer. He, he took Chuck in and he traveled with the team. He came to the team meetings. He was a part of our team. We never had a team meeting at the gym without Chuck being a part of it, So I thought that was very generous on Coach's part. As intense as Coach was, this was sort of his human side to let Chuck be a part of it, which we all learned to appreciate.
What about this one?
The roast.
Who's that?
Me.
Who's this?
Chuckles.
Who's that?
Me.
Okay, what's this one, Chuck?
Beat 'em and beat 'em bad.
Okay, let's hear your ad lib, Chuck.
Tell these guys what you want to tell them, Chuck.
You got to play defense. You got to get your hands up on defense. You got to block out. You got to get good rebounds.
Hey, what's this?
And you got to rub the buckle.
Oh, the buckle? What is that?
The bison.
That's right. Not the big bison, though, huh?
Nope.
Nope.
Our best Chuck Ross story is one night I spent the night with him when his mother was missing and we found her in Kentucky. And so I spent the night with him, and I got up about 6:30 in the morning like most of us at my age do. And I opened the door and I walked out, and there's Chuck standing in his underwear at 6:30 in the morning. He says, "What you doing, Kevin?" I said, "What am I doing? What are you doing at 6:30 in the morning? What are you doing standing here in your underwear?" "I don't know, I'm just waiting for you to wake up." And so, I don't know how funny that is, but I tell you, it's an alarming thing to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and see Chuck standing there in his underwear in the hallway.
How often do we do this? I don't know. About once every 6 weeks? Something like that. Is that another one of the lists you need to keep? You want to throw that one away? We have all kinds of lists. He keeps up with who does the announcements, and if you are not the one doing the announcements that was supposed to be doing the announcements, you will know about it because he calls you and lets you know. Cleaning up that chair so he can sit in it. All right, Chuck, this one's from October 12th from Voltee. Keep it. All right. Brentwood Hills.
That's where Jonathan is.
I know, October 12th. That's this week.
Yes.
Okay. Let me find a date on this one. Lishy Avenue. He keeps everything. This is a church bulletin from October 28th, 1965. Chuck, what's the funniest story between you and I? I'm having a hard time.
Where you helped me out of the car?
Oh, just recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you in my convertible? Is that when?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we finally got you in the car. You'd never been in a convertible before, and I got you in there.
Yes.
You wore your hat so you wouldn't mess your hair up. And then we got to school, and you couldn't get out of my car.
I know it.
What happened?
Oh,
We had to get the security man to help pull your legs out of the car.
that's right.
That was pretty funny, wasn't it? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
It was the first time you'd ever ridden in a convertible.
That's right. First time I've ever ridden a convertible.
He said, should I hold on to my bags?
And I even rode on the golf cart with Miss Binkley at
That's
the
right. Spirit Day Parade.
Spirit Day Parade.
Well, Chuckles, your special night is finally here, and I know you're real excited and probably hyped up to the max. But when I think of you, buddy, I think of your great heart. You've got such a pure and loving heart. You're always calling to check to see if we're well and if we made it back home safe from our trips. Always checking to make sure that our flights are on time, and just always calling to check on us. And it gives us a joy and a privilege to carry you and pick you up places, take you home, come over and eat with you at Lake Shore. So you just keep calling us, buddy. And congratulations. And sorry I couldn't be here tonight. And just so happy for you. And I'm looking forward to getting my personal signed book from you. All right, buddy? We love you, Chuckles.
How about this May baseball sporting goods?
Yes.
Throw it or keep it?
Probably keep it.
This is an old compliment. How about this May baseball?
Yes.
Let me tell you a story about Chuck. How much I love him, right quick.
All right.
I am a scout with the Chicago White Sox. Ron Shula was our general manager. Chuck called me and said, Jack, I need me a media guy. And I said, Chuck, I don't even have one. So the next thing I know is I get a call from the Sox office, from Ron Shula's secretary. And she says, Jack, who is Chuck Ross? I said, he is a man that is an authority on the Nashville Sounds, anybody ever played there, or for any organization. She said, well, he's been calling Ron Shula on his private number. I said, well, I don't even have Ron Shula's private number. And so come to find out that Chuck had Ron Shula, our general manager's private number, and I didn't. But I tell you, he is a good one, and I love him, and the best to him. And anytime you need me, Chuck, give me a call. See you, buddy.
Okay.
We appreciate your call. Chuck, how did you get that number?
Looking it up in the media guide.
Oh, okay. That
makes sense.
There you go. It makes sense to me. That works every time. Chuck, you've got friends in all walks of life, don't you?
That's right.
I mean, they come from everywhere. There are professors and college presidents and former athletes and current athletes and team owners and managers, and so you just you know no bounds when it comes to friendship.
How about the Belmont baseball 2003?
Probably keep it in.
Okay.
Hi, Chuck. Good to see you again. So glad you're here. Yes, hello. Hold on, Chuck. Hello, can I help you? Oh, yes. Chuck, I'm sorry. You know that phone rings all the time. As he comes around that corner, just about every day, he'll say, hello, sweetie pie. How are you today? And Chuck, I have to say this. I just have to tell everyone what it's like on one of our ball games. The night of our ball games, of course, you're always here, and we just love you being here. Usually our games begin around 7 o'clock, and Chuck will come through the door around 2 o'clock. He likes to get here early and make sure that we're answering the phone and waiting on the customers. And so he helps us. He's there quite a lot. We also, when it's raining, on the days that it's raining, we don't even have to bother about calling up the weatherman because Chuck has already called all of them. He calls the TV weather people and the radio weather people, and he lets us know if it's raining or not. And most of the time he says, we are going to play and we're going to win.
Only he knows why he did this, but Lipscomb was supposed to play Calvin College of Michigan. They're on their way north after being down south early in the season. And Chuck gets up and it's pouring rain. And so Calvin College guys get up and Chuck informs them that the game's rained out. Well, they head north and sun comes out, ground dries up. Dugan's had his team take batting practice and no opposition has shown up. So he gets someone to go to the phone and call the coach. The coach has had time now to get home. It's been from since early in the morning until the afternoon.
Right.
And so he says, they told me that the game was rained out. And Dugan says, well, who told you that the game was rained out? Says, one of your coaches, Coach Ross. So Chuck canceled the game. It won a phone call he made that he regrets all of his life. Right, Chuck?
Right.
Chuck, again, I just want to say how much you mean to the Sounds, and we want to honor you by giving you a lifetime season ticket so that you'll always be a part of the Nashville Sounds. We love you, Chuck.
How about the Memphis Redbirds 2003?
Yes.
Chuck, how you doing, buddy?
All right.
You know who that is?
No, I don't.
Oh, Chuck, you've talked
What you know, buddy? Larry Woody, Chuck.
Yeah, how you doing, Larry?
Listen, hope you've got to get Jimmy D to tell the greatest Chuck Ross story in the world about Chuck, John Bibb, and Bear Bryant. I want to hang up and listen.
All right.
Jimmy, tell this story. It's hilarious, and I'm sure it's in the book somewhere.
You know that story?
Oh, yeah.
Tell it.
Bear Bryant was at the end of his coaching career, and he was playing Vanderbilt at Dudley Stadium, and Alabama football team, of course, and they are just beating Vanderbilt to death. They have just murdered them. I forget what the score was, but it was outrageous. And so they scored right at the end of the game, just a few seconds left the game. Alabama scores a touchdown. Well, Alabama goes for 2 points instead of kicking. Well, the crowd was incensed.
Yeah.
The Vanderbilt side, and they loved Bear Bryant. He'd been an assistant at Vanderbilt and had shared revenue with Vanderbilt on a home-and-home basis, and he had done everything he could to endear himself to Vanderbilt people. And then just with one play, they just booed him off the field. So we get underneath the stadium, and in that hot box in there that was the visitors' dressing room, and Bryant, he's sweating and he can't hardly speak, and he says, I have to get out of here, so let's just go outside and have this conversation. So we go up and just a few steps up into the stands down there at the north end, and we're all throwing softball questions at Bryant. And from down below comes this unforgettable voice of Chuck Ross hollering, tell them why you went for 2, Bear. Tell them why you went for 2.
Yes.
And so Bear ignores this, and everybody else ignores it, and just keep asking him questions. But nobody asked him why he went for 2 until here. Tell them why you went for 2, Bear, just over and over.
And Chuck had to ask the question.
Finally, he said, John Bibb, which the late John Bibb, the sports editor of the Tennessean, my boss for many years, said, John Bibb, tell him why, ask him why he went for 2. Ask him why he went for 2. And so Brian turns around and with an expletive deleted says, oh, ask me why I went for 2.
That's a great story.
And so Chuck was the best newsman.
He was.
In the whole stadium.
He was.
He went right to the point.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, there was no reason for him to go for 2 points, was it?
No.
None at all.
Well, one of my favorite Chuck stories is Chuck normally called the office, and if we're not in, he'd leave a message and tell us he loved us or tell me he loved me and thanks for taking him to the dentist or whatever. But occasionally Chuck falls asleep when he runs out of words to say. Occasionally we catch Chuck snoring on the phone, and we kind of pass that along throughout the athletic office because it's pretty funny. Well, Chuck's been my #1 fan for a long time. He's been a very good supporter for me, and I love Corinne Ross, his mother. After games, always made an effort after games to go up there and give her a hug, because she always expected me to give her a hug after games. And his mom passed away like maybe a year or 2 ago, and I still love Chuck, and I'm always there to take care of him. My job now, I take Chuck to the dentist with Chelsea and I. So whenever I make dentist appointments, Chuck goes along with us.
Somebody wants to talk to Chuck Ross. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, my name is Max King, and just to let you know, Chuck's not only the
sports authority, but he is a mascot at the airport. He been with us at Delta Airlines and has quite a few friends out there, and he was with us up until the security came in. So just let you know that Chuck is well-rounded in all fields.
Well, I'm glad to know that. Did you know that, Jim?
Yes, that's in the book. There's a whole chapter about the friendly skies.
We go back to about, I believe it was 1971 when the baseball team went to the first national championship in Phoenix, Arizona. And the team had left one day, and I was going to fly out the next morning early. So I'm getting ready, I'm busy, hurrying around, you know, dressing and packing and everything, trying to be ready when my ride came, and the phone rang. So I went to the phone, and I thought, maybe I shouldn't do this, I don't have time to get in a conversation, but it might be an emergency, so I'll take it. And I said hello, and voice on the other end, hello, Diane, and it was Chuck. So I talked to him a few minutes, and then I said, Chuck, I really have to go. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm supposed to catch an airplane, and I'm going out to Phoenix and to the tournament. So I really have to go, Chuck, and I'll talk to you later. He said, what airlines are you going on? I said, American, and he said, what time's your flight? I said, 9 o'clock. Now I really have to go, Chuck, and I'll talk to you when I get back. So I hung up, and I continued to get ready and put my suitcases on the porch, and my ride was there. A few minutes later, the phone rang again, and I answered it reluctantly, and it was Chuck. He said, Diane, and I said, I thought maybe he was calling to wish me luck or a safe trip or something. And I said, Chuck, I don't have time, hon, to talk now. I said, I must go. My ride is here. He said, well, I just wanted to tell you your plane's on time. And I was so amused because he had taken the time to call the airport and find out that my plane was on time. So I said, well, thank you, and I'll talk to you when I get back. But I have always enjoyed that story because Chuck's persistent, and he had something to let me know when he called me back. But I hope, Chuck, that you have many, many more years to make those phone calls and to go to ball games and things that you enjoy doing, and that you have a wonderful, long, and healthy life. Now, I really do have to go, Chuck, and I look forward to seeing you Thursday night. Bye-bye.
He used to call me all the time. You know, that was sort of the general rule. We'd be in the dorm room, you know, on the 7th floor, and somebody'd have a call. Hey, Alan, you got a call in here. Chuck, of course. And meanwhile, we were on the elevator by the time he answered the phone.
My name is Alan Banks, and I'm honored to say that Chuck and I have been friends for most of my life. I think it's only fitting that I'm standing here in front of the Titans Stadium because Titans football, in a way, represents sports in Nashville. And you cannot talk about sports in Nashville without talking about Chuck Ross. Just like in many relationships, or in any relationship, different people bring different attributes to the table. And if you're a friend of Chuck's, he also brings attributes to the table that if you're his friend, you need to understand. Number one is the purple jacket. I dare say no one in this room has ever seen Chuck without a purple jacket. Chuck, I hope you have it on tonight. Number two is his briefcase. Wherever Chuck goes, he has his briefcase. Number three, he has his scorer's book. And we're not sure what scores he keeps, but wherever he is, he has that scorer's book. And number four, he has his cap on. And again, Chuck, I hope you have that cap on tonight. You must understand another attribute of Chuck's. When he calls a T, and many of us have heard it, it'll sound something like this. T. That is not a bad thing. In Chuck speak, a T means you're his friend. Like on a basketball court, if you get a T, that's a bad thing. But in Chuck, that's the top of the line thing for you in terms of friendship. And another thing you must understand, when you become a friend of Chuck's, you need to understand where he is ticklish. I found this out when I was a sophomore in college. We're in a team meeting. Coach Meyer had just gone over the pregame preparation. Chuck's sitting next to me, and the meeting concludes, and I grab Chuck on the leg and just kind of squeeze it like, okay, Chuck, we're going to go stack it up, and you're gonna get us out on the court. When I grabbed his knee, Chuck jumped up, dropped his briefcase, dropped his scorer's book, and from that moment on, I realized Chuck was very ticklish on his knee. So he had to come up with very innovative ways in which to break his defenses, because he became very defensive once the team knew where he was ticklish. The best that I had found was, if I ever saw Chuck in a place where he couldn't get away, I would get on my belly, and I would crawl on my belly 10 or 15 yards towards him. And it was really good because it was agonizing for him because he knew he couldn't get away and knew what was coming. But I would crawl on my belly and I would reach up and grab his knee. The reason this has been so successful is because Chuck was not able to reach down towards his knee. And so we could always be sure that we were able to tickle Chuck by crawling on our bellies like worms in order to grab his knee. And finally, the final and most important attribute of Chuck, dealing with Chuck as a friend, is the phone. Now, when Chuck calls you, he understands that he has your number because he has a list of numbers, and that when he calls you, he wants you to carry the conversation. For example, "Hey Chuck, how you doing?" "Doing fine, Alan." "Chuck, okay, everything going okay?" "Yep." Great. So everything's going good?" "Uh-huh." You been to any Lipscomb games lately?" "Yep." Okay. Have you talked to Coach lately?" "Yes." This could go on for hours, and has gone on for hours. But if he ever does this to you, this is the way that I have found that you can slowly work down the phone conversation. "Hey Chuck, have you talked to Ricky Bowers?" "No." "Well, Ricky called me and he needed to speak with you, so could I give you his cell phone number? Because he said he needed to speak with you today." "Let me get a pencil." "Okay, his phone number is 479-9382. 479-93. You got that, Chuck?" "Yes." "And he wanted me to call him today?" "Yes." He said continue to call him until you get a hold of him. At that point, Chuck will call Ricky Bowers. Now, Ricky Bowers will always send it back to me, but this has been one of the fun parts of having Chuck as a friend. Let me tell you, Chuck, I love you. You have meant so much to me in my life, and what we hope for is that tonight is the greatest night for you because we're all here because we love you.
Let's go, man! Let's go, get going!